Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Marshall County Board of Supervisors regular session, November 5th, 2025, here in the first floor meeting room. Notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes the comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. Requested to approach the podium over here for the microphone for the recording. Of course, limit your time used to present remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak as well. The normal process on any agenda is for the chair to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor, and an opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate and a roll call will follow. We'll start with the roll call, please.
Hibbs. Heil.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Thank you. And could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
I move to approve today's agenda.
And I will second that. Any further discussion on it? Roll call, please.
Heil.
Yes.
Goodman.
Yes.
Motion carries on to number 5, approve memorandum of understanding between Marshall County and PPM Local 2003 IUPAT Secondary Road, and authorize the vice chair to sign.
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding.
All right, and I'll second that. Paul, can you share anything on this, please?
Yes, Paul Guyland, Fulton County Engineer. This memorandum there's 3 items that we're changing in the current bargaining agreement. The first one with engineering technicians to basically it allows our engineering technicians to use the same work schedule that the other crew uses, that the shop crew, truck drivers, and motor grade operators use in the summertime for the 410s. And the 410s weren't previously available, but we want to make that change because we were trying to staff our office at the same hours that the crew is working at the shop. So that allows us to do that. The second change is on the sign crew 2, and we had an issue with the pay on sign crew 2 being less than truck driver 3. So no one wanted to take a promotion that actually is a pay deduct, so they were just truck driver 3 working as sign crew 2. And this just fixes that, and it takes the sign crew 2 pay to be equal to truck driver 3. So someone moving from truck driver 3 to sign crew 2 is not taking a drop in pay. The sign crew 4 change, we are just changing the classification of sign crew 4 to sign crew 3 because on the agreement there was no 3. It just went from 2 to 4, and so it's the same pay rate as sign crew 4. Sign crew 4 will disappear and it'll just become sign crew 3. It's just a kind of a cleanup thing there. So that's what those are. They were previously voted for, approved by the union, and this has been signed by the business agent from the union and it just awaits our approval.
Okay. Has that pay always been on the, the sign crew 2 classification of Exhibit A, sign crew 2 pay equal to truck driver 3? Have they always been separate like that, or did something
They've never
happen?
been, no, I'm not sure how sign crew 3 disappeared. That, long before me. But sign crew 2 has never been paid what truck driver 3 was. So if we had a truck driver 3 and they wanted to do the work of sign crew 2, they were like, don't change my classification, I'll do the job. I'm still a truck driver.
Okay. So basically we've been having people being sign crew under the title of...
Performing sign crew 2 as truck driver 3.
Okay. So this basically is a cleanup is what we're talking about. All right, thank you.
Paul, could you give me what are the duties of sign crew versus, I get the truck driver.
The sign crew 2 is basically the number 2 man with the sign crew. The sign crew 3 position is the one who basically is the foreman, the working foreman of the sign crew. But when they're installing signs, it's a two-man job. There's groundwork, there's work that's done from the bucket truck, and so it's just they're kind of a team, and they work best when there's two out there.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion, questions, or comments? All right, we have the motion and the second. Any last comments? Roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes,
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you, Paul. On to our consent agenda today. Number 6, approve previous regular session minutes, October 22nd, 2025. Approve previous special session minutes on October 22nd, 2025. Approve claims as audited and authorize the auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. Listing of claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid in the current month will be published as part of the first meeting of the following month. Personnel changes. We have status change Kent Hayes Secondary Roads, TD3 to sign crew 3 at $33 an hour, 6 cents. Effective November 8th, 2025. Status change Raymond Melling, Secondary Roads, truck driver 3 to sign crew 2 at $32 an hour, 77 cents, effective November 8th, 2025. 6E, file manure management plans, Tripoli Farm, number 58021, at 1722 200th Street, State Center, signed with changes. Applegate G&L Incorporated, number 59073, at 2845 Garwin Road, signed with changes. And 3KAG, number 59278 at 5653 West 140th Street South, Mitchellville, signed with changes. And that is the end of today's consent agenda.
I'll move that we approve today's consent agenda.
I will second that. Is there any comment? Roll call vote, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes,
Motion carries. On to number 7, public health update.
Good morning, everyone. Sydney Gruwell, Marshall County Public Health Director. So I'm here to provide an update on the Legionella response here in Marshall County. Hopefully this will be the last response that I have to provide to everyone. So since the outbreak began in August of 2025, there were a total 74 cases of Legionellosis and 2 deaths associated with the outbreak. The last case was reported to public health on September 25th, which was nearly 6 weeks ago. As of October 23rd, which was 2 incubation periods, or the time in which someone can get sick with Legionellosis. So that was the time at which the outbreak has officially concluded. As the response, the incident command structure has closed at the state level as well as the local level. During this time, we identified 12 business centers with cooling towers in the area where people were most likely being infected. Each of these business centers have been tested multiple times, and of course we tested in order to try and find the matching sequence or the matching fingerprint. We had a positive match, or if we find a positive match, that helps a lot, but the absence doesn't mean that we were on the wrong track. We did have 1 business center that tested positive for Legionella pneumophila serogroup 1, which is the species of Legionella that causes Legionnaire's disease in humans. So it did not match the infected person that we were looking for, so we still don't have a smoking gun, and we may never find the smoking gun, unfortunately. But the fact that we found Legionella at all means that we've been on the right track this entire time. Happy to say that each of the 12 business centers have completed all offline remediation processes, which were not an easy task nor a cheap task for these business centers. And the work that we started in early to mid-September helped to progress a lot faster. And as of, like I said, today, all of them have completed that offline remediation process, which was shutting these towers down, having extensive cleaning, and then sending a report to IOHHS, who then forwarded on to the CDC to be cleared for cleaning. Moving forward, any Legionella case that's reported to both myself and the state, it's reported at the same time. will not be considered as part of the outbreak. It'll just be considered one of those 30 to 70 cases that we get ubiquitous throughout the year. And those will be followed up by local public health, so myself, and then the state also oversees those because they get those same reports. I just want to say thank you to all of the local partners, the business centers, community partners, state, federal, Board of Supervisors, Board of Health, everybody that was involved in this outbreak response, and we will continue to press forward. I know there's been some questions about what we see for cooling towers in the future and how we regulate that at whether it be the local or state level. I was on a call yesterday for public health office hours and brought up the fact of how do we bring this to, legislative processes, and, it kind of has to, they said it would be more of like a local thing of, so maybe a city ordinance, a county ordinance of cooling towers. So just something to think about going forward.
I think probably one question you'll be getting is, you say that there was a business that did test positive of not the same agent, I believe you called it. Will that be allowed to be public? And I guess comment on that.
So yes, there was one business center that tested positive. That information will not be shared. It is my understanding they're protected under Iowa Code 139A for communicable disease. And because it is not a continuous ongoing public health threat, because they took care of the problem, that will not be shared.
Okay. If it would have been a match, is the codes different on how that would work?
That is something I am not fully sure of, but I still believe that they might not have shared it because, again, they took care of the process. If the business center would have just not done anything and not have cooperated, then maybe there would have been some different actions taken. But again, all business centers cooperated, which was very good on our part. Some of them may have taken a little bit longer for us to get in there and provide their information, but all of them did do the processes that we were asking of them to. Which again, a lot of them were big financial undertakings for these places. It's not cheap to clean cooling towers. They're large, and they also require a lot of chemicals. So.
Kevin, any questions?
Just an extremely difficult subject, really. I mean, why? Why all of a sudden did we have 74 cases pop up? Is there just a more concentrated level in a specific area with more spores and that kind of thing?
It's hard to tell. The state has said the same thing. Why here in Marshalltown, where, Des Moines has cooling towers, larger cities have cooling towers. Of course, we know we've heard New York always has cooling towers. They're common on high-rise buildings to cool those buildings. Could have been just some negligence of a business owner, just improper water management processes, which I think this experience has opened up the eyes of everybody, not only business owners, but people, to make sure that they have water management processes and they are handling them appropriately. So, like I said, I think not only here in Marshall County, but statewide, there's a lot of, other local public health are asking the same questions. Like I said, we see Legionella. It comes from not only cooling towers, but it can come from CPAP, BiPAP machines if improper cared. It can come also from showers and faucets. So that's why, there's different recommendations on how to mitigate that risk and things as well. So.
Does anyone from the public have questions for Sydney this morning? Well, thank you, Sydney, to you on your hard work during this. It was obviously not an easy thing to work through, and as we had a couple loss of lives due to this, Legionella, so our sympathies are to those families that had gone through that. And I think this is learning for many of us. I had never even heard what this was. I had no idea what Legionella was. I had no reason to know what it was until this. So learned a lot about it. The process was, times the public's wanting to know information right away, real time, and we do the best we can on that, and I thought you did that as well. At the same time, there are, like you said, there are laws that we got to follow on making sure that personnel information and particular information is protected, and I thought you did that well. And for us to have a close to this now is a good chapter to have closed. And we look forward to not having to work on these things again, but you're certainly prepared to do so if we do. So thank you
Yes.
for all the work you do.
Yeah, there's something else I forgot to mention. The website, there was being an update every day or every couple, days towards the end of cases. That will no longer be updated as the outbreak has come to a close. The Legionella section on the disease and prevention website of Iowa HHS has moved back to its proper order in the list. Measles is still at the top. When they have something that's of concern, they move it to the top of the list. So they have moved that back down. The press releases are still available on Iowa HHS if you search for them, but that case count has been removed. Like I said, the press releases are available. We're still going to keep some of those things on the Marshall County Public Health portion of the Facebook page, or the county website, and then the state will also be putting out some fact sheets at some point regarding the cooling tower mitigation. So we will have those linked to on our website as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sydney.
All right, number 8, approve State of Iowa Alcohol Beverage Division license, Duran Wine LLC, doing business as Madison County Winery. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the State of Iowa Alcohol Beverage Division License, Durham Wine LLC, doing business as Madison County Winery.
I will second that. Any discussion on this?
Good morning. I'm Emily Herring, Director, Marshall County Conservation. The Madison County Winery is going to come up, and we would like for them to serve wine at a trivia night for the Friends of Marshall County Conservation. They are fundraising for new bison out at Greencastle. We actually met with the bison people on Tuesday, and it sounds like we will be getting 2 females and 2 calves to add to our herd. So the Friends have made that their project this year to fundraise for. So this will be our first trivia night, and I do believe the teams are all full. So we are full for teams. There'll be silent auctions, and we've been having businesses that have been donating towards that. So we're excited for the event. It is November 14th, and so we were just hoping, we actually will have also, Pitchfork is going to be serving food, as well as Bakery 146 will be selling desserts. So just a fun night to fundraise for Buffalo.
Great. Thank you very much, Emily. Questions?
Thanks, Emily.
All right, we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion, questions? All right, roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
All right, motion carries on to number 9, 2025 County Weed Commissioner Certification Form and Weed Commissioner Report. Morning, Tyler.
Tyler Kelly, Planning and Zoning, County Sanitarian, today acting as Marshall County Weed Commissioner. So this is an annual report that is required by the State Weed Commissioner as part of Iowa Code for all the counties in Iowa. Each of the 99 counties submits a weed report about noxious weeds and invasive plants that they're dealing with in their county. I went through and did a county-wide survey again, traveling gravel roads, county roads within the city limits to try to get a gauge on some of the invasive plants that we're dealing with on a regular basis. I've also reached out to Marshall County Conservation to see some of the noxious weeds and invasive plants that they're dealing with in the county park system. So Going through this weed report, there's a couple big things that I do want to discuss today. I have been seeing an increase in Japanese knotweed throughout the county. It is a very troublesome plant. It is resistant to Roundup. When you mow it, it spreads heavily, and I'm seeing it in areas that I definitely do not want to see it in. The edges of agricultural properties, in the right-of-way, kind of close to our bridge systems, and in natural areas, and then hard to get places where I don't think control may be an option right away. I've discussed this last year. This Japanese knotweed plant, it's has the ability to grow up through concrete and separate the joints between bridge embankments and the right-of-way itself, causing huge infrastructure issues. So here today, I do think it is a #1 priority that we work on controlling the populations that I have seen in the county and start a tracking program on that particular species. It is not listed in the county, or the state weed law as a #1 priority by any means. It's listed in the secondary list for control, but I think in Marshall County it definitely is a problem. As far as teasel and leafy spurge goes, we've had that in the county for the last 5-10 years. It's becoming more and more prevalent in the right-of-way systems. I think a roadside spray program could definitely take care of that problem pretty easily, just based on the populations are here or there, they're not widespread in our county road systems. We're not seeing any new invasive plants in Marshall County, but the ones we do have are becoming more established. So I have made some initial contacts with Paul and Emily to discuss maybe the creation of a roadside spray program and discuss resources we currently have or resources we may need in the future to start being a little more proactive about the invasive plants and noxious weeds we have, at least in the county right-of-way. I've continued outreach with local farm and landowners concerning this Japanese knotweed plant. I've handed out brochures in areas where I'm seeing it along timber banks and near their crop ground, hoping to get a better management program, I guess, even started in the ag sector. That's all I have today. Any questions?
So no known chemicals?
When Story County, we were actually spraying it with soil sterilant. It's a product called Polaris, and it is fairly effective, but the half-life in the soil, nothing comes up for at least a year. Mowing is the absolute worst thing you can do for it. It has such a weird structure. It just spreads the actual stalks of the plant and creates such a bigger problem within a 2-year span of mowing it. So the worst thing you'd want to do is take a county or a brush hog out in your ag area and mow over it. It's just going to spread it so much worse, and those little populations get big real quick. So that's my biggest concern, is there's not a lot of product out there that they've done enough research on to control this particular problem, especially in the ag sector.
How do weeds make their way onto these lists? Like I see a big problem.
Yeah.
Like bird cucumber.
So the Iowa weed law started in the 50s and 60s, and it was created with problems that were currently a problem in the 50s and 60s. So a lot of the weeds you'll see on the noxious weed law, field bindweed, some of the stuff, it's not particularly a problem now based on the new herbicides that we've developed over this time. There has been work with the state weed commissioner and with the county weed commissioner program. In 1999, they introduced a Chapter 58, which kind of updated the noxious weed program and allowed the state weed commissioner to add or subtract weeds from that noxious weed law that he saw as a problem. There hasn't been any real movement on that since then, but talking to the county weed commissioners, it's definitely something that we would like to approach based on these new invasive plants that are coming across from each one of our borders and getting established pretty quick like.
Because I've seen bird cucumber really take off in the last 5 to 10 years.
Along the lines with our areas, one of the things that we have quite a bit of problem with is people will cut plants and then they come and dump them in our ditches in our parks, and that causes the plants to regrow. One of, I think, the most, if you want to see almost every single invasive species in Marshall County, go to the Girl Scouts ditch. And I think those were put there because people in town were cutting, or people in general were cutting and dumping plants there, and then those seeds transplant. We also sometimes struggle with seeds catching onto equipment and moving on. Sometimes that's kind of hard to avoid, I would say. But we would strongly encourage people not to take their plant materials and dump them in the ditches because that causes problems.
Any other questions for Tyler? Thank you very much for that report. Yes?
There's also another PDF that the Board of Supervisors has to sign that allows me to serve as weed commissioner in 2026.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that thorough report.
Thanks, Tyler.
All right. Is there a motion for the filing of this report and certification?
I move that we approve 2025 County Weed Commissioner Certification Form and Weed Commission Report.
And I will second
And
that.
authorize the Vice Chair to sign.
Well, I'll second that too. Any further discussions, questions? Roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
Motion carries. On to number 10. Approved purchase of dump body front plow, wing plow, underbody, scraper, V-box, salt and sand spreader, pre-wet system, and installation of all items on the 2027 Volvo VHD 64F300 from Henderson Products Incorporated of Manchester, Iowa for $208,636.16. Paul.
This is essentially everything that it takes to make a new truck chassis into a rock hauling, snow plow, what we use, our tandem axle trucks for. I apologize for not getting the right order of agenda, but I sincerely hope you approve the purchase of the chassis that I'm gonna put this equipment on, but that is item 12. So, at any rate, that it will be for the truck that is gonna be purchased later. Now, the issue here is just the time frame that we have to get ahead of things. This is actually for a purchase that'll be made in a budget that we haven't even approved yet. Because it's gonna be, Henderson won't be able to build this until at least July of next summer. But we've had very good luck with the Henderson equipment on our trucks. And we are switching, the only change we're making from past trucks is that we are putting a stainless steel dump body sides on it as well. We've got the stainless steel V-box sander. We're gonna go with stainless steel on the sides too, because we've had places where we've had Volvos that have lasted long enough that we've had to rework and rebuild the dump bodies. And so add the stainless for what it costs will be worth it for us.
Would it be appropriate to amend the agenda so that we don't put the cart before the horse or the plow before the truck? Should we amend it, or is there any, we can just move to number 12, then come back to this item?
I think you just could do number 12 and,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right.
I trust you, believe it or not.
You know, crazier things have happened in the meeting, so. I think-
Way crazier.
So, Kevin, if you don't mind, would you like to move on to number 12, get that approval first, and then come back to this item?
Yes.
All right. So we will go to number 12, then back to 10, 11, and public forum. All right, so number 12, approved purchase of 2027 Volvo VHD 64F 300 tandem axle chassis from Gator of Des Moines Incorporated for $155,256.
Yes, and we've had excellent luck with our Volvo chassis, and the only thing I want to note on this purchase price is that this is the first I've seen, we have a tariff impact fee of $3,500 on this truck. And that's the first time I've seen that get put on a piece of equipment that we're buying. I assume we end up paying that even if the tariff gets changed or suspended or anything in that process, but anyway, it's listed on the quote.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve this purchase?
I'll move that we approve the purchase of a 2027 Volvo VHD 64F 300 tandem axle chassis from Gator of Des Moines for $155,256 to be paid from the fiscal year 2027 equipment budget.
And I will second that. Is there any further discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. We're winding back to number 10, the approval of the dump body, front plow, wing plow, underbody scraper, V-box, salt and sand spreader, pre-wet system, and installation of all items on the Volvo that we just approved. I'll entertain a motion on this.
I move that we approve the purchase of a dump body, front plow, wing plow, underbody scraper, V-box salt and sand spreader, pre-wet system, and installation of all items on a 2027 Volvo VHD 64F 300 tandem truck from Henderson Products, Manchester, Iowa, for $208,636.16.
I will second that. Is there any other further discussion on item number 10 here? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
Motion carries. Now, number 11, approval of the Iowa DOT Cooperative Agreement for Primary Road Project, Iowa DOT Agreement number 2026-16035.
And this agreement is it lays out what we are going to do with the upcoming project for the improvements at Benford Avenue and US Highway 30 intersection. And you did previously see the C-STEP agreement, which is one of the funding mechanisms that we're using for that. And this agreement also outlines what they call NR funds that the DOT is putting in with this project. And I don't have any experience with the NR funds, but it apparently is a National Highway System non-interstate funding source that they'll contribute to this project. So it does help our end of the project. The agreement also basically says that the county is going to be basically the project development and the contracting authority and getting the project, built. We just get to we use some of their money. This is let's see, we've got the C-STEP agreement, we've got this cooperative agreement, and we will then yet have the RISE agreement that will talk about where all the funds that we're going to use on this project and the Benford Avenue 245th Street project. So there'll be one more after this. But this one is with the DOT and just says what we are going to do on the project and what we can rely on the DOT for. And there's, 5 pages that I doubt you want me to go into.
Is there any questions for Paul? Timeline of construction on this, tentatively?
We're currently on a course for letting in August of '26, and that would not lead me to believe we would have '26 construction, so it'll likely be a '27 project.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this agreement?
I move that we approve the Iowa DOT cooperative agreement for primary road project, Iowa DOT agreement number 2026-16-035.
All right, I'll second that. Any other further discussion? Roll call, please.
Heil,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes?
Motion carries. On to number 13, public forum. Time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum.
Good morning, Marshall County Emergency Management, Kim Elder. Just wanted to remind everyone, I know I did last week, but trying to get a good response for our hazard mitigation plan update kickoff meetings. The meetings will be on the 24th of November, which is a Monday. Community kickoff will be held twice. It'll be from 1:30 to 2:30 that day, and then again from looks like from 6 to 7. Those are the same meeting, just options for people that can't make one or the other. And they'll introduce the public and our partners to the hazard mitigation plan for the county. That's updated every 5 years per federal regulations, so that we're able to look at our mitigation opportunities in the county, but also be eligible for hazard mitigation grants. And I know we've had quite a few of those here in the county. And then the planner meeting, so the actual plan partners, very important meeting to get together, is the first one starts at 4:30 that day too. So we planned it where if a partner came to the partner meeting and went from 4:30 to 6, adding their information, they could also attend the 6 to 7 update, so if they would like to. So that hazard mitigation plan looks at all of the communities and the county, rural areas, to see if there's mitigation projects that would like to be done. I know outdoor warning sirens is a good example of one, and there are several cities that had that in their plan last update, and many of them then received those through the hazard mitigation grant that the county was able to secure here about 3 years ago. So that's a good example. There's bridges, there's different things. I know conservation has used the hazard mitigation grant. Secondary roads has, but also some of the cities have to mitigate so that there's less damages in their area. So again, on the 24th, there'll be several meetings, and they're all posted currently on the Facebook page for Marshall County, Iowa Emergency Management. And as we get our website rebuilt, it will be on there too. So, all right.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
My name is John Warden. I live in unincorporated Marshall County. I came to this board in October of 2022 expressing my displeasure that the Marshall County or the Marshalltown Public Library would not accept two publications, two periodicals, the American Rifleman and the Epic Times newspaper. So since that time, I've attended every single library board meeting. That's 36 consecutive meetings. And when I was here the first time, I stated that the library is run more like a book club than a public library. And I feel so even more strongly now. So since early 2023, 4 trustees out of 7 have resigned. And one of them represented, or supposedly represented, unincorporated Marshall County. she was not representing Marshall County and actually none of the trustees represent the patrons. So, so that seat is vacant as of a few days ago, and the application deadline for that position was 11:59 last night. So as of right now, we don't know who applied. We know of two people who stated they would. And so it's important that we patrons can weigh in on who that appointee is. The process works like this. The Marshalltown mayor chooses from those applicants, appoints one of them, and since it's a county position, this board then votes to approve that appointment. So, the three appointees that the mayor has appointed so far since early 2023 have been no improvement whatsoever. They refuse to engage with patrons. I've asked them if they've been asked not to approve or not to engage with patrons, and I get no answer. I've asked them if they have received a copy of the trustee handbook, and I get no answer. And I mean no answer, no yes or no, nothing. So I could expound here for easily an hour on what I've seen and heard in those meetings, but I'm not going to. But what I want to do is, since we don't know who the appointees are now, and you are scheduled to vote at your next meeting on the 19th to confirm, I will, we certainly should know by then. Well, we will know by then. You will know by then, and we will know by then. So, and since the comment time is at the end of the meeting, which would be after you vote, I believe, that we patrons need to be able to comment sometime on the agenda, and I believe that I can get on the agenda then for the next meeting for that opportunity. So, are there any questions on this at all?
I believe we can put this not on consent agenda. We can put it as a regular agenda item, so it can be, comments can be made during
Okay.
the
Okay,
agenda
That would
item.
make sense, correct.
just as one example of what has happened, in April of 2023, by then it was obvious that we protesters were not backing down. The library wrote a punitive and reactionary policy that was just totally stifling to patrons. That's just one example, and that's all I'm going to give right now. If anybody wants to talk about this afterward or at any time, you can contact me. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Sean.
Ray Mitchum, from here in Marshalltown, 1402 South 3rd Avenue. I've lived in this area all my life. I was born and raised on a farm right out by Shady Oaks, and so I felt very close to this community in a lot of ways. And back in 22, I hadn't even been aware of John trying to get the American Rifleman and the Epic Times as a part of the library so adults could read them. But then some of you may know that I've been in the science teaching profession for almost 40 years, and I retired a few years ago from the Marshalltown public schools. But in all those years that I had science students and science projects, of course I encouraged them to come to the library and seek various sources of information for their science projects and their science term papers, just so they would know that there's certainly differences of opinions and different approaches. So some of you, I guess, Jarrett and Carol Hibbs were the two that were here when I came here after I found out about John's concern. Then I noticed, and of course, this was during the COVID time, and so I noticed the Epic Times had a headline about the CEO of Pfizer was concerned with adolescent myocardia with the mRNA vaccine. So as a scientist, of course, I took this very seriously, and I looked into it, and it had a lot of support, good research data. And so I presented that to the supervisor board at that time because of my concern of the library not being serious about having the Epic Times especially available for adults to read. And so that was my concern back in the spring of 2023. And along with John, I've attended every library board meeting, every one since then. And being an educational professional, I just find it hard to believe that the Board of Trustees wouldn't even consider even visiting with us. And of course, we're only allowed 30 seconds, or I should say 3 minutes at the library board meeting. So we are so limited in trying to get our own information. So I just want you to know that this is being taken seriously for a reason. And I even have known some of the trustee board members professionally, and they just don't, when they're on the board, they just pretend like they don't even want us there. And they won't discuss after a meeting or anything, which is very, very strange, and I assume you can recognize that also. That it's just a strange situation for some reason. My opinion is the director of the library has taken her personal biases and conveyed them into her public decisions. And we all know that we all have our own personal biases, but to take them into your professional decision-making is certainly something that is not appropriate. So I just wanted you all to know that me as a professional, I just find this all very confusing and unfortunate and sad. Thank you.
That's right.
I traveled a bit of a way to be here. I had a flat tire and actually ruined
dear.
my heels to
Oh,
get
no.
here. Kicking it to
thanks for
get
making
on
it.
with the jack. So it's been a very interesting morning. It's an honor to be here. My name is Melissa Duffield, and actually I am a federal whistleblower and civil rights activist that is here to provide a public notice to Marshall County. This is in accordance with the USCS Rules of Civil Procedure, as well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 of the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution of the United States has the overreaching requirements that every state must follow. States cannot enact their own alternative legislation substituted for the guarantees of the Constitution of the United States. That would mean that the state laws are more powerful than the Constitution, and that is unlawful. Clause 1 of Amendment 5 states, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury." However, the state of Iowa has enacted its own alternative legislation and permits prosecuting attorneys, police officers to charge by way of information as opposed to indictment, and that is very unconstitutional. Now, how does this pertain to you? Let me explain, Board of Supervisors. An annulment violation is when you pay a public official to break the law. That would be your officials that are judges, sheriffs, etc. The Constitution has two areas that enforce this. Article 1, Section 10 says, "No state shall create any law that shall impair the obligation of contracts." Police officers, prosecutors, judges are all under a contract to perform based on the oath of or affirmation that they took to support and defend the United States Constitution. Contract perimeters are defined within the Constitution of the United States, and when a state enacts an inferior law that directs their agents to disobey the Constitution of the United States, for instance, censorship, very serious, that is a violation of Article 1, Section 10. The 14th Amendment is the other place that you will find the reinforcement of this issue, and that is where it states that no state shall create or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of its United States citizens. The privileges and immunities of the United States citizens are, at minimum, those enumerated within the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, and unfortunately, the state of Iowa has enacted a law, it is inferior constitution, that permits public officials, judges, law enforcement officers, whom you all pay, to violate the United States Constitution. As a result, there is an inordinate amount of people currently imprisoned in the state of Iowa illegally and unconstitutionally. That includes in this county. Tanawa Downing is litigating this issue at the United States Supreme Court level. I'm here to notify you, if you continue to pay public officials to break the law, criminal sanctions can come from that, to you guys personally. Officials must be aware that paying people to disobey the law is an emolument violation. It is illegal, it is unconstitutional, and it is a crime. I'm asking you honorable individuals, to prove you're honorable, to please take a look at Clause 1 of Amendment 5, confirm what I am saying to be true, then direct your public officials to act in a lawful, constitutional manner. What I am saying is to be true. And then I ask that your obligation that are codified in the Constitution of the United States of America. I have a notice that I would like to put on record, and we're going to be giving that to your clerk. And then we have another civil rights activist that's going to be following me, Felicia. And I want to thank you very much for your time. And as always, I end my speeches with Christ is King. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And do you have a card? Does it have your name on this?
Actually, we are going to refer you to Tanawa Downing, who is actually doing this.
Could we get your last name?
Yeah,
then?
sure.
Melissa.
Duffield. D-U-F-F-I-E-L-D.
That's, yeah, just so we have the spelling. in
Yeah,
your
do you need
manuscript.
my contact information?
No, it's great.
Okay,
And then-
and we are doing this statewide, just so you know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I do have one item real quick.
Were you speaking too?
Yes.
Okay,
And then
go
we'll
ahead.
get you-
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. I just figured we get this subject.
And I'll let you first scan.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Felicia Quincy. I am also a civil rights advocate. I'm also here to provide notice in accordance with USCS Rules of Civil Procedure, as well as Rule 17 and Rule 20 from the United States Supreme Court. The Constitution of the United States is the supreme law of the land. No state, no county, and no court has the authority to create or enforce policies that contradict the Constitution or deprive citizens of their secured and protected rights. Yet that is happening every single day, here in Iowa especially, and in family courts. Across this nation, children are being removed from fit and loving parents, not for abuse, not for danger, but for profit. So under Title 4D and Title 4E, federal funding, states that counties receive financial incentives tied to the removal, separation, and adoption of children. This means the system profits when families are torn apart. That is a federal pipeline of money that has turned our children into financial commodities. Unfortunately, that is not a conspiracy. This is codified federal funding. What's equally as disturbing is that a portion of this county's budget contributes to the operation of the very courts participating in the unlawful removal of children. That means public tax dollars are being used to violate constitutional rights and carry out actions that result in the wrongful separation of children from fit parents without due process of law, without jury trials, and often without preponderance of evidence. I want to be very clear. When government officials, including judges, GALs, law enforcement, and any other county-funded agencies knowingly violate the Constitution, that is a crime. When they do so in exchange for federal financial gain, that becomes an emolument violation under Article 1, Section 10, and a violation of the 14th Amendment for abridging the privileges and immunities of United States citizens. Under Title 18 U.S.C. subsection 4, misprision of felony, whoever is made aware of a federal crime and fails to report it to the proper authorities is committing a separate felony. Ignoring this is not an option because the law requires action. As elected officials, you all swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. No state policies, not federal incentives, not judicial preferences. Because this commission allocates funding that enables these courts and state actors to operate, continuing to fund these unconstitutional practices after receiving this notice places this commission at risk of being implicated in the ongoing violations. We're calling on you, all of you, to immediately withhold any county-level funding that supports or enables these actions until compliance with the Constitution is restored and every child that has been removed unlawfully is returned to their respective homes. I'm serving you with affidavits of criminal conspiracy containing prima facie evidence of crimes being committed by judges within this county's court. Our children are not for sale. Parents are not revenue streams, and no system that profits from the destruction of families has the moral or constitutional authority to exist. Service has been provided, and the law requires you to act.
Could we get the spelling of your name as well?
Sure. It's P-H-Y-L-I-C-I-A. And then last name is Quincy, Q-U-I. NCY.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here today and sharing that information with us. Thank you.
And I want to do just a quick election update. We had a very busy night last night. We had unofficially over 6,200 voters. Which from 2 years ago is a 47% increase. So to say everybody was running crazy is an understatement, but appreciate all our workers, and they're working on the 829 write-ins down at the election center, and so they'll be working today and possibly tomorrow as well. We got 2 teams down there working on that. So that we were almost 50% higher was amazing. We asked for more voters, and I guess we got it. So thank you to everybody that assisted. And Sydney, we got a new person helping open, so.
Great.
Yeah, so it was a good night.
Good. We got the results out, and I went and voted at Iowa Valley yesterday, and your team was, boy, they were just such an enjoyable team.
It's a great group there.
Very friendly. They were incredibly welcoming. It was like
It's a
going
nice
to the coffee
room.
shop. It was awesome.
It's a
So-
nice room there. It's a nice space, for sure.
So well done with your team. Well done with conducting elections. It's a very stressful thing. The gun is on us to do elections accurately, and so there's a lot of pressure that's given to you on that. And so well done, and it's good to have new people willing to serve and stepping on the ballot, and all the ballot initiatives as well for the different bond deals and all that good stuff.
Right, yes.
So it was a fun election.
Fun election. It'll be interesting to see all the write-in results for everywhere, because there were open seats, so the write-ins really do count.
Yeah, they do.
So, yes.
Great. Thank you for that. Any other public comment today? All right. That'll move us on to number 14, closed session per Iowa Code 21.5 subsection 1C, pending litigation. Is there a motion?
I move that we go enter into closed session per Iowa Code 21.5, 1C, pending litigation.
I will second that. Roll call, please.
Kyle?
Yes.
Denman?
Yes.